Lori used 240 to prep for her FTCE exams. She wrote to us saying that it was the most informative site she found, and it helped her pass the test. Awesome job, Lori. My name's Jessica Solano, and I've worked in education in Florida for about 14 years. In fact, I was the 2017 Florida Teacher of the Year. And now I get to partner with 240 to help teachers in Florida pass their certification exams. Today, I get to help you. This video is going to prepare you for the FTCE General Knowledge English Language Skills subtest. And this video is going to cover 3 things: what's on the test and how to study for it, the most likely concepts that will be on the test, and we're going to look at a few practice questions. The FTCE General Knowledge, or GK for short, is intended to measure the basic skills required to be a teacher in the state of Florida. It's part of every Florida teacher's certification journey. The GK is divided into 4 subtests: essay, English language skills, reading, and mathematics. But for now, we're just going to focus on the English language skills. The GK English language skills subtest consists of 3 competencies: knowledge of language structure, knowledge of vocabulary application, and knowledge of standard English conventions. Now let's simplify that a little bit. That's better. Each competency has skills that go along with it. There are approximately 40 multiple choice questions on this subtest in all, and a whopping 50% of them come just from competency 3. So let's start there. Competency 3 has 12 skills linked to it, and they all cover grammar and mechanics of the English language. That's what standard English conventions means. When I take a close look at this list, I see the word pronoun 4 different times. I'd say this is an important standard English convention to discuss. We have everything you need to prepare for your GK English Language Skills subtest in our 240 study guide. But let's go ahead and dive into pronouns for now. Pronouns are words that can take the place of nouns, especially when the nouns are clearly known by the audience. You might remember learning some common ones through this song. I and we, he and she, it and they and you. I know, I dominate karaoke night. On your exam, you'll have to identify and correct errors in pronoun usage. You know something I've seen come up a lot? It's important to know when to use the possessive pronoun there. We should use it when something belongs to a group. Like in the sentence, my teammates always bring his or her best effort to the game. That his or her needs to be replaced with their, since the effort belongs to the group of teammates. P.S. Don't forget the team at 240 is here to cheer you on your certification journey. Let's practice correcting pronoun errors one more time. We'll see another example of a time to use there. In the room is open to my classmates and its backpacks, we need to replace its with their. The backpacks belong to the classmates, not to the room. Ooh, that makes me think of something I'm really excited to teach you about in the next competency. Competency 1 is all about language structure. We can think of this as how sentences come together to create meaning. Remember how I just got excited about something in this competency? It's this right here, modifiers. Are you as excited as I am? No? Well, let's modify that, shall we? Now I'm about to go over an essential concept you should know. But to really get to the confidence you deserve to pass the test, you need to get the 240 study guide. Our 240 study guides have hundreds of questions, in-depth videos, and test-aligned study materials, so you can get the depth that you need to pass. But let's go ahead and dig into modifiers now. A modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that adds emphasis, explanation, or detail to a sentence. Let's look at an example of modifiers at work. The teachers aced their certification tests. This is a basic sentence. Now let's add some modifiers to it. The amazing teachers, prepared because they studied with 240, joyfully aced their certification tests while taking steps forward to their meaningful careers. Now that paints a much more detailed picture. And that's the kind of picture I love to see. Modifiers can be misplaced or dangling. So let's take a peek inside our study guide to hear more about this.
A misplaced modifier is in the wrong place in the sentence. The child ate a cold plate of spaghetti for lunch. Cold modifies plate in the sentence. The child ate a plate of cold spaghetti for lunch. Now cold modifies spaghetti. A dangling modifier is not clearly related to the word or phrase it modifies. Walking to school, the roads were covered with snow. I didn't know roads could walk. Walking to school, I noticed the roads were covered with snow. We need the subject I. I am the one walking, not the roads.
Misplaced or dangling modifiers can be easy to miss, so make sure to check that the modifier is closest to the noun or phrase it's modifying. We'll make sure to practice one of these questions later on, but for now, let's move on to our final competency, Competency 2. Competency 2 covers vocabulary application. Here you'll work with words and phrases, and even sentences and passages. It probably doesn't surprise you to hear that you'll determine word meaning and correct use in the vocabulary competency. But skill number 3 here. Let me show you what this one's all about. You'll be given a scenario in which there is some form of communication, most likely a writing piece or a speech that needs an opening line. So what does this have to do with vocabulary? Well, diction refers to word choice, and tone is the feeling or mood that those choice words create. Those are 2 very important considerations when choosing an opening line to fill a specific purpose for a specific audience. So how would you open a thank you email for all the amazing teaching job interviews that are heading your way? Drop your ideas in the comments below. The diction and tone for this one should be simple, formal, and direct, like, thank you for the opportunity to interview for the open teaching position at your highly regarded campus. Just like I want to thank you for the opportunity to learn some key concepts with me today. See? Simple, formal, direct. But again, to really have the confidence that you deserve, go subscribe to a 240 study guide. You can get the study guide for the GK English language skills and the other subtests too. Now that we've gone over some of the big concepts in our 3 areas, let's look at some practice questions to show you how those concepts can appear on the test. If you want a lot of practice questions, you can click the free practice test below. At the end, you get a score report on how well you did on that test, and then you can go subscribe to 240 and get all the practice questions you need to be 100% confident for the test. Now, for the questions. Remember the language structure competency? I told you there'd be a question about modifiers, remember? Let's take a look at it. Choose the sentence with properly placed modifiers. Now, they all look pretty similar, but scrambling the eggs with a whisk, the frazzled chef tipped over the bowl, spilling eggs across the counter is the best choice. The other sentences have incorrectly placed modifiers, creating issues like the bowl scrambling the eggs instead of the chef. Let's look at one from the vocabulary section. What's the most effective word or phrase to complete the sentence? John was known for his prodigious, prodigal, prosaic, or provocative memory. He could memorize up to 100 numbers at once. Well, the correct choice here is prodigious, which is an adjective meaning remarkably or impressively great in extent, size, or degree, or causing amazement or wonder. Now let's take a look at a couple from the largest competency, standard English conventions. We need to identify the error, or the lack thereof, in the following sentence. During allergy season, many people suffer from headaches, itchy and watery eyes, and constantly sneezing. Constantly sneezing is the error here because in this instance, sneezing is used as a noun and requires an adjective that's a constant instead of the adverb constantly. All right, let's see one more on standard English conventions. This time, we'll choose the answer that corrects an error in the following sentence. Adults often have less friends as they get older, but the friendships that they have are stronger. In this sentence, fewer should be used in place of less. Friends is a countable noun, meaning you can count the number of friends that someone has, so the quantifier fewer should be used. Fewer is used with countable nouns, while less is used with uncountable nouns, or things that you can't count, such as water or information. Now that's just a small sliver of practice questions to give you an idea about how these concepts are assessed on the test. Nice work on finishing the video. If you found it helpful, give it a like. There's still plenty more to practice. Did you know that thousands of teachers have passed their certification exams using our study guides? If you really want to make sure you're prepared for the general knowledge English language skills subtest, take the next step and subscribe to the 240 study guide. It has literally hours of videos, so you can watch or even listen while you're doing chores, working out, curling up on the couch, whatever you want to do. It's test aligned, so you know exactly what you need to study. And it has hundreds of practice questions, so you can be absolutely sure that you're ready. Best of all, it has a money-back guarantee. So click the link below right now and get started.